This is the first time that you've had 4 different generations in the workplace at the same time. And there's different ways of doing things, and our business has changed a lot in the decades that are behind us. And really being able to encourage the younger leaders that their ideas matter, and then the older leaders to say, you know what, it's okay to let go to grow.
What if the only reason why your hotel is not retaining staff is because you don't have a mentorship program? Mentorship programs in an organization can yield significant benefits, enhancing both employee satisfaction and organizational effectiveness.
You should be asking your mentee what their goals are, and then actually understanding where their strengths are, where they perceive their strengths to be, and where they perceive the areas that they want to build stronger.
That's Shannon McCallum, Vice President of Operations at Resort World Las Vegas, the most expensive resort property ever developed in the Strip at a cost of $4.3 billion.
Resorts World is a beautiful new property that is just 3 years old. We've got 3 different brands in our campus that are partnered with Hilton. We have a Hilton Las Vegas, Conrad Las Vegas, and Crockford's Las Vegas, which is our luxury, ultra luxury brand. And we've got 3,506 units in total. So it's not a small campus, and we have over 50 restaurants and lounges that are here for our guests as well.
But what I love the most about Shannon is her humble beginnings and her dedication to help her staff grow and develop. On this episode, you will learn what to consider when creating a mentorship program, the effect of mentorship programs on the company's leadership, the role of communication and collaboration for success, what the future holds for hospitality business. But now, let's talk to Shannon and learn something new with Schillering today. Hi, I'm Mauricio Schiller, and you're listening to the Schillering Hub, a podcast gathering hospitality professionals from around the world to talk about what hospitality is and what it isn't, and their lives, the innovations, and the ideas that set some businesses apart and others not. We also talk about the future, the trends, and recently we embarked on a journey to search for happiness in hospitality. What makes hospitality a happy place? What are the hurdles that block happiness from happening? And what can we do to overcome them? I invite you to be part of this journey. We make this for you, so I hope you enjoy it. Hello, lovely people, and welcome to another episode of the Schillering Hub podcast, where we talk hospitality. Today, I'm super honored to welcome Shannon McCallum from Resorts World Las Vegas to talk to you about mentorship in hospitality, something that's super important for our staff. And Shannon just shared with me that it's one of her favorite things to talk about. So I'm super excited to have that. But Shannon, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you.
It's my pleasure to have you here. We're going to talk about mentorship, a little bit of how you work, how you select people, and what's so special about mentorship in hospitality. But before that, in our community here, we always say that humans come first, and we would like to learn more about you. So what brought you to hospitality, Shannon?
Well, it all happened by accident. I grew up down the road from a luxury property, and I think my parents wanted to keep me out of trouble in the summer and the weekends, so they sent me up the road, and I started working in hotels when I was in high school. And, I got to see some really exciting things, and we hosted some really interesting events. And one that I remember when I was 16 was a Commonwealth of Nations. And for those countries, including Canada, where I grew up, from time to time, they host the Commonwealth of Nations, which is the leaders from all of the British Commonwealth countries. And I got to serve and be a server assistant at an event that had Margaret Thatcher and the Sultan of Brunei and Rajiv Gandhi and the Prime Minister Brian Mulroney of Canada. And I thought, wow, someone who's 16, no one else that I know is doing anything remotely this exciting. And I think it lit a fire within me for hospitality because it was exciting. And the access that you have to learn about people is really great. And but I did go on, and I thought I was going to go to law school. And, I went through that path through college and studied for the LSATs and took my tests. And then I realized, what am I doing? I really love hospitality. And when you find something where you have a passion, it's like you never have to work a day in your life. And fortunately, it has taken me on a very exciting path.
That's so you actually were going to the law tracking and you gave up on everything to stay in hospitality.
That is correct. And my parents weren't that happy. I think they wanted a daughter that was a lawyer, and that didn't happen. But now I think they look back and they think this was really the path for me. And it took me from Canada to the United States. I worked for some amazing companies like Fairmont Hotels and Resorts for 15 years, which brought me to the U.S., and then was recruited to come to Las Vegas in 2010, which was very exciting as well. I didn't know if I was going to like Las Vegas because it seemed all bright lights and crazy. But after 6 months of being here in Las Vegas, I loved it so much. I bought a house. I'm like, this is where I'm staying. And it's been 14 years now that I've been in Las Vegas. And I've never regretted it for a moment. I just love what we do here and being a part of something so big.
And you've been very accomplished in your career. It's amazing to see how you grew into being a vice president of operations of World Resorts Las Vegas. So what was the most challenging situation we've encountered, and how did you overcome it?
I think turn in the economy is always a challenge. And the first time that I experienced that was in the 2009 period when the U.S. economy was really struggling. And I saw people that I really cared about losing their jobs. And I remember one day when I was in Arizona working, I saw an executive chef going out with their box. And it was like so scary because for me, I was on visas and from Canada and the US, and I was tied to my job. And if I had have lost my job at that period, I would have had to return back to Canada. And, it just, those things are so out of your control. And then we saw the same thing happen during COVID. But, I felt like I had tools in my toolbox from the first time I went through that. And again, these economies are cyclical. Things like that are going to come around. So it is learning how to handle that enabled me to better handle the changes that we saw going into the pandemic.
Wow, that's so inspiring. I had a very similar situation in that financial crisis. I was going to start working with cruise ships at the time. And 2 weeks before starting, they froze my contract and I was ready to ship off. And it was a difficult situation, but we learned so much from this type of experience, don't we?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, lived experience are the ones that you remember the most. People can tell you how to deal with things, but until you go through something, then you don't truly learn how to deal with it yourself.
It's true. And now, if we fast forward to your current role as a VP, how big is it?
Well, I had the fortune of being a vice president of hotel operations for a large operation in Las Vegas prior to this. So I think it gave me the skills to come to Resorts World. I came to Las Vegas helping to open up a brand new hotel in 2010. And it was over 4,000 units at the time. And I feel like coming to Resorts World, I had almost done it already at a different location. So coming out of the pandemic, I think that's what was really unique. Resorts World is a beautiful new property that is just 3 years old. We've got 3 different brands in our campus that are partnered with Hilton. We have a Hilton Las Vegas, Conrad Las Vegas, and Crockford's Las Vegas, which is our luxury, ultra luxury brand. And we've got 3,506 units in total. So it's not a small campus, and we have over 50 restaurants and lounges that are here for our guests as well. So we're very fortunate to be on the cutting edge of technology. And as you know, I'm a huge fan of technology, and I've really tried to keep my learning up over the years with technology, because that's truly where our business is going. And to be educated, you can then make better decisions. And coming to Resorts World, I felt like I had a clear vision of what we needed to do. We needed to build the culture. We needed to stabilize the technology. We needed to stabilize our business coming out of the pandemic, and really create a place where people really wanted to join and felt passionate about. And I'm super excited to know that, we are something different. We are a very nimble property. We're a singular property in Las Vegas for our company. So we can't depend on corporate offices or other help. We have to be able to do things ourselves. And, I'm really proud at how nimble we are with meeting planners and events where we can put our arms around things and activate them very quickly, which is not always easy in these large buildings.
Definitely. How many people are under your helm?
Well, it's at the property, we've got over 5,000 team members. Under my umbrella, which is the hotel operations, we've got over 1,500 individuals. So it is a large team, and, communication is really important when you've got a team that's that large, to make sure everybody understands the vision, also being very visible so that they feel like they know you and they understand what our purpose is every single day, taking care of our guests.
And use the word culture and vision and make them understand all that. So how would you define the principles that guide your approach to lead people?
I think collaborative is definitely one of my approaches over the years. You have to realize one person can't run these properties. You need a team of people that believe in the same goals, and in order for them to believe in what you're doing, they need to understand them. So really starting with the why every time we are doing something or we have a new initiative, explaining what the why is, and making sure not only your leaders know, but that actually can get to everyone in the property so that everybody is moving in the same direction.
Sorry to interrupt. If you're enjoying the show and if you are learning something new today, please consider following the show, subscribe to our channel, or leave us a review. It helps us to help more people through the podcast, and it would mean the world to us. Thank you for listening, and we're back on the chat. Wow, now we see why you can fit in that role so well, Shannon. Thank you. It's amazing, your story, and how you can mix up that knowledge of and passion for hospitality, but also understanding the culture, understanding the whys behind we do what we do. And probably that's why it can inspire so many people to work with you. It's amazing. So let's get into mentorship and help our audience, help other hoteliers to become also better mentors and lift the bar and the quality of service overall. That's what we're trying to help here with our community. So what has inspired you to become actually a mentor to others, and how has the mentorship played a role in your own professional career?
Well, I think as we grow our careers, we're so focused on our own development of how can we get better and how can we progress and how can we get to that next step. And I think as you progress in your career, you realize that, you've developed your career, but how do you help others to be able to develop their careers? And early on in Las Vegas, I got very involved in the Hotel Association, the Nevada Hotel and Lodging Association, and we created a chapter under the Hotel Association called Women in Lodging, really trying to lift up women within the community, within the industry. And I helped to launch a mentorship program for women within Women in Lodging to enable leaders who wanted to learn and grow to get partnered with a senior leader, to be able to ask those questions and to be able to use them as a resource. And for me, that was just the beginning, because I became so passionate about it. Then we also expanded it for emerging leaders, so for everybody within the Hotel Association. And we did 8 to 10 week mentorship programs, so a person could actually sign up multiple times and get different mentors every time they signed up, which is great because you learn something different from each person that you're partnered with. And I know when I was growing up, which was a while ago, that there wasn't mentorship. There wasn't like formal programs that would enable you to be able to meet senior leaders and ask them those questions. And it was a bit intimidating to be able to be in a situation like that, to ask someone to sit with you and talk with you. So I feel so fortunate for those that are to be first involved and to be able to help and give back in this way, but also to provide that opportunity to make it easier for those people who are growing their careers and they want to learn from the experience of others, that there's more opportunity to do that. And again, pairing people with individuals that match their interests, I think is really important. So if someone wants to learn more about sales, trying to find a sales lead, a director of sales, somewhere in the community that can be the partner so that they can really continue to grow or learn, even if they're not even in that discipline, they can learn security, they can learn hotel. So it really enables them to learn many different classifications of roles within hospitality without even changing their role so that they can understand what path they want to go on.
And in these programs, how do you typically identify the people that you will work with, or how do you select? It's just from the person, the staff, or is more the mentor that makes the choices?
We give the mentee an opportunity to have a say on the top 3 areas that they want to learn more about. Then we look at the mentors that are volunteering to see who has that knowledge that would be able to develop or to share information with the person that is wanting a mentor. So I think that has been really helpful. And again, giving them the opportunity to be able to participate multiple times. It's not like you only get to do it once and that's it. Because we have mentorship programs multiple times a year, you're able to really get to know and network through the community with senior leaders, which you normally wouldn't maybe not have access to.
Like, what are the most challenging steps that your mentees go through? Because I believe that, as you just said, it's quite nerve-wracking when you have to face a high-level leader in the industry, someone that you probably look up to your whole life, and then you need to talk to this person and ask questions. And I think that asking the questions, the right questions, is very difficult. But from what you've seen, what's the most challenging things that happen to them?
I think more people are going to school for hospitality, and I think sometimes when they graduate and they're fresh out of school, they feel like they should get into a senior leadership role. And I think sometimes that right setting the expectations of going through my own history, this is how long it took me to be a manager, this is how long it took me to be a director, this is how long it took me to be a vice president. But they want to know, how do I get to be a vice president? And they're fresh out of school. So I think they're very focused on their careers. They want to know the shortest route. And I think sometimes you need to encourage them to learn everything they can in their current role, because creating that base and that foundation is so critical for their success in the future. It's like learning math. You don't go to advanced math first. You start with the basic principles and you build on there in order that there's no gaps. And I think sometimes they think their careers are linear, that if they start at the front desk as an agent, they'll become an assistant manager or a manager, then a director, then to VP. But as many of us know, being in the hotel industry, you need to learn housekeeping, because housekeeping is like the yin and yang of hotel operations. Or maybe you should go into food and beverage for a period of time so that you understand that style of service. Meeting planning, which is a combination of food and beverage and hotel, to learn what your group guests experience. So we really, and I know for myself, I try to encourage my mentees to be able to think about how they can further expand their knowledge set within their current role, and how important it is just to start working hard and do it because it's the right thing to do. Learn everything that they can, and then to create goals for themselves where they maybe put a reminder in their calendar every 6 months so that they think about, where am I today? What do I want to do tomorrow? So that they can understand that it's going to be a process. It's not something that happens overnight. And I think that's probably one of the most challenging things, I think, for students that are coming right out of school, because I think sometimes schools are saying, if you get this education, you will become this. And in our industry, a lot of it, your experience is by interacting not only with other team members, it's about interacting with the guest, because that's a skill set that you can't learn at school. And it takes time to really find your path and your skills in order to do that successfully.
What you just said, there is a misalignment between academy, industry, and personal growth. In my opinion, that it's being school, the academy selling their courses so they do the best that they can to attract talent, and in the end of the day end up selling an idea that is not totally real, not totally congruent with what they will face in the daily operation, the daily job. And to foster that culture of learning, because a lot of people saying that this new generation struggle to engage in learning, and it's continue learning and understanding that it's all a process. Do you see that happening?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And I think continued growth and learning is what's needed in order to be successful, because our business doesn't stand still. Our business, you look at the technology that's now happening in our industry, and I think the pandemic actually sped it up, because we needed to have paths for our guests who wanted limited interaction with other people. Now, many of us, especially luxury hoteliers, hung on to that guest experience that, no, we need to take care of our guests in person, and that's the only way to be able to deliver service. But we've learned to realize that luxury service is the ability for our guests to choose their path, not for us to dictate it. And so we may have luxury guests who have traveled for 10 hours that just really want their room and not a conversation, and they want to bypass the front desk because they've stayed with us 10 times and they already know where everything is and they have no questions. So having that path for that guest is actually luxury, because it allows them to be able to go on their own path. However, you might have a first-time guest that's coming in for an anniversary, and they want to know what entertainment, and they want to know where to dine and what special moments that they should take advantage of. And so I think that making sure that we continue to learn not only from a technology standpoint, but also how our business is changing. And I think one of the things that I feel in regards to learning is reading. And wherever I've gone in the past, I've always had what's called a book club for my leaders. And, here at the property, we've already read 3 books, and, we're just 3 years in. And again, we've got a busy business, so we try to meet every month. But it's about learning through the ideas of people, not just in hospitality, but in service, in leadership, so that we can actually bring people together. And this is the first time that you've had 4 different generations in the workplace at the same time. And there's different ways of doing things, and our business has changed a lot in the decades that are behind us. And really being able to encourage the younger leaders that their ideas matter, and then the older leaders to say, it's okay to let go to grow, and to give our younger leaders that leeway to be able to make decisions and be able to learn from them, instead of telling them, no, I've been in the business this long and this is how you do it. Because the style of our team members and our leaders are changing. And if we don't continue to evolve and help our teams evolve and see new ideas, then it'll be very difficult to have a positive and welcoming culture at your property. So I do think continuing to learn is very critical to the success of your property, of your culture, and then also your retention. You want to be a place where younger leaders can come in and feel that they can progress and grow within your business.
Wow, I'm flabbergasted. That's an amazing answer. Thank you for this. But we're talking about the skills now. And what are the most critical skills that the professionals of hospitality today should be engaging in learning?
I really think communication is really critical. And we talked a little bit about that, but being able to communicate in a way that people will listen. Again, it should be collaborative. so that you're incorporating the ideas of others. I think being able to receive feedback in a way where you don't take it personally, and that's really hard for some people to learn. It's very humbling sometimes to know that you're not perfect, and because no one's perfect. But in order to learn and to be able to understand everybody else's perspective, you need to be able to listen and then be able to ingest it and then be able to act accordingly and adjust. I think also setting goals is important, whether that be in your personal life or at work. Really making sure that you're on target, that you can hit deadlines. I think also, when we talked about this, understanding that our business will have ups and downs, and learning how to deal with not only a situation where your business is extremely successful, but what happens when the economy turns and you have to address that, or you have to contract your business. Because those are extremely difficult things to deal with when you need to do that. But you need to be able to adjust and to be able to learn how to do that in a successful manner and positive manner too.
I guess facing a negative in our career, we avoid thinking about negatives, right? We try to just attach the positives, things are going well. But super important really to think through and teach our mentees that there are moments that things won't go well, and hopefully they understand that it's part of the career, it's part of the growth, and even if they need to move on, just take what they learned to another place and help that place to grow. But what advice would you give to any hospitality organization that is looking to establish and strengthen their mentorship program?
Well, I think you need to have a program that is manageable for the executives. So I know what's really been helpful for us in Las Vegas is we started with a 12-week, and that seemed to be a bit long, and it was hard to keep up with it. So we shortened it to a 10-week partnership with our mentees, and then that way we could actually do it more frequently and to be able to allow more people to participate. So I do think making the mentorship programs manageable is very important for both parties. In addition, having some structure to the mentorship program. So because some people maybe their first time mentoring and they don't know what to do. So being able to give a guideline of week 1, this is what you should be doing. These are the discussions you should be having. You should be asking your mentee what their goals are, and then actually understanding where their strengths are, where they perceive their strengths to be, and where they perceive the areas that they want to build stronger. And I think those are very important conversations to have, so you understand how to structure your mentorship program. And then also have them meet other people. Even though you're mentoring them, you can actually introduce them to other leaders in the business depending on what their goals are. So I may introduce them to my director of hotel if they want to pursue a career in hospitality, but I may introduce them to our director of sales if they're leaning towards sales as a potential career, so that they can understand what the path is of not just myself, but other leaders, so they actually get more exposure and more networking within the business. So I think that those are all really important. And then have a celebration at the end so everybody can network and gather together. And that has been successful too, because it allows your mentees to feel more comfortable within that social environment, and to be able to know that their mentor has their back, and they can then build their network of individuals. So that's been very successful for us.
How beneficial is for the mentor to volunteer in such a program?
Oh my gosh, I learned so much each mentor I have, because there's different perspectives out there, and it's been a long time since I've been in school where I've been starting my career. So sometimes we take things for granted once we get to a certain level in our career, and it refreshes us to know these are the concerns of people that are coming right out of school. And I have to be cognizant of that, not just with my mentee, but with all of my team member base that are at the property, so that I can understand what is important. Because, we know what we know in our role, but things are constantly changing. And what is happening when you're coming out of school now is much different than when I came out of school. So I feel like I can learn just as much from my mentee as they are learning from me and others that I partner them with. So it's, and I think that's why I enjoy it so much, because I feel like I'm always growing and learning, and I'm able to stay current and to be able to understand what the concerns are of the younger set of team members that are coming into the workforce.
And how do you measure the success of the mentorship program?
For me personally, it's staying in touch with those mentees. And I always say my people are everywhere, because I've been able to mentor so many people, and to see them grow and progress in their career. I feel like maybe I have a little bit of a hand in that, not because I got them a role, but because hopefully my feedback meant something to them and they were able to use it in order to better their skills and then progress within the industry. So nothing makes me more happy to see than one of my mentees from the past go into a new role. Whether it's at our property, I'd love for them to stay with me, but sometimes people move further abroad to other areas or different countries or cities. And I'm just so thrilled for them. I feel like it's a little bit of a celebration for me as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And look, we have in this show, we create a little game that's trying to foresee the future. Okay, so it's more a game that we play. It's to be freely, to think freely. And the idea here is to anyone out there that's looking for some inspiration for the future, may look at a guest that they enjoy, the subject that they enjoy, go to the last part of the podcast, just listen what the future holds for that guest, get some inspiration, and maybe can apply to the business, or just think, oh, I never thought about that before. We know that predicting the future, it's always a tricky question. So I like to make it clear that this is a game. But when it comes to the learning and development departments in hospitality, if you could try to foresee the next decade, we are having so many changes with the introduction of generative AI and the tech wave that's taking over the hospitality industry. And some businesses are getting a little bit lost on what we're doing as hospitality. So when it comes to our staff, and I'm not talking about the guests, what they will see, but I'm talking about our staff, our people, and their learning and development. What you've seen, what you are predicting to happen in the next 10 years in that department?
Well, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head with generative AI. I mean, I do believe automation is what's coming for us. And we're actually quite far behind when you think of industries that are out there that have put their arms around robotics and things like that. And it really is not about replacing people, but it's about using AI to be able to take care of the manual things like reporting, or being the first voice that answers the phone that can actually take care of an easy task. And then when things get more complicated, then it goes to a person that can take care of their needs. But there's a lot of opportunities for us to be more efficient in our business. And the hotel business is a tough one because there's a lot of costs that are associated with our properties. And to be able to make them more profitable without losing that human touch is what's really important. And so I know we currently at Resorts World, we've always been on the cutting edge of technology, but we are looking at ways to have bots do automatic payments, and so working in the finance area, or even in the hotel, being able to generate our reports. It can take hours to do when we're looking at hourly counts or daily status reports and those kind of things. In addition, we talked about mobile check-in. That's a great way for us to be able to allow the guests not to have to stand in line. We can better our service and yet give the guests what they want is a quick and speedy service. And if they do choose to come to the front desk or go to the concierge, we can take care of that too. But they can, oh, by the way, book their concierge items 24 hours a day on their own on their phone as well. So I do think that hoteliers need to stay educated, and I think it's a bit intimidating with all of this new technology that's coming out there. But start small and join podcasts like this today to learn more from others who are really getting into the business and also partner with your IT team, because they often are a few steps ahead as well with the education, because it is important that we understand making the decisions that we are today in our business. We need to have some basis of understanding of the benefit that it can bring instead of pushing it away because we're a little bit worried about it. But again, it's not about a replacement of service. It's about streamlining our business so that we can then take care of the guest in a more meaningful way.
100% with you. If you could look back and mentor yourself, your younger self, what would you tell yourself?
I would say be patient, work hard. Things will come when the time is right. Have confidence in yourself, in your abilities to do what you're doing. Because I think a lot of times when we're growing our career, we question how we're doing compared to other people. So don't compare yourself to others, and have a clear vision and be able to see where you want to go, then to work towards it. So I do think that we all learn every single day, and being patient and with yourself first and foremost is just really important, because then you have the capacity to be able to be patient with others as well. But, I feel very fortunate to have had wonderful mentors that have helped me along the way. And again, I get immense pleasure with giving back now to those people who are just starting and they're growing their careers.
Shannon, that was a masterclass. Thank you very much for sharing with me. So it was an amazing conversation. Thank you so much. Would you like to send a message to your mentors or your mentees?
I would just say thank you so much for your time and your confidence and in my abilities. When I think back in my career in Canada, there was a gentleman, Aurelio Durazio, and I always looked up to him because he could actually tell people the hard truth of what they were going to get or they weren't going to get at our hotel, depending on how busy it was, and the guests would walk away and thank him. And I always thought, wow, I want to be just like that individual. Then another gentleman, when I moved to Las Vegas and I'd never been in the casino business before, took me under his wing and he taught me all about the casino business. And Mr. Paul Berry, who is now living in Florida, and he took a risk. He took a chance on me coming from outside of Las Vegas to bring me into a casino business where it is so intricate and very different than mainstream luxury properties. And I feel very fortunate to be able to have learned from both of those individuals throughout my career. And I still think about them up until this day, and I stay in contact with them in order to be able to let them know how happy I am and how appreciative I am of both of them. But it's I think it's important that we now reinvest in the future. And that's why I do what I do, and spending that time, it's really important to me.
Just I can say it's thank you very much for giving your time for our hospitality younger selves to actually learn, for our younger generation to get inspiration from someone like you. It's an amazing inspiration. I just learned from you a lot just today. So I just want to thank you for what you do and to ask you to continue doing it, because we need more people like you in our industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mauricio. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today.
My pleasure. Children, I hope that you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did, and I see you next time. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.